Hello, everybody. Want to welcome you to Compass Games Live. It's episode 63, and today is Thursday, August 12th. It's a pleasure to have you here again, as always. And we've got pretty much a packed schedule for tonight, so a lot to cover, actually, as far as some updates go. So let's go ahead and get started with the updates, starting with our schedule. So we did update our schedule earlier today. A little hard to see here, so I'll explain a little bit what's happened. But we've got some recent release updates since we last spoke. So last box game new release was Gregory Smith's Defending America, who's, by the way, our special guest for tonight. So we're looking forward to talk to Greg about Defending America and some other works in progress that he has. Also, we have two games, not new releases, but actual restocks back in print, available and shipping now, and that is Blue Water Navy and Enemy Action Ardennes. So again, those have now been released. They are now shipping, which takes us over to the left side for the rest of our schedule for this month. And this has not changed. So for the end of August, we have the new release from Ernie Copley, The War of the Pacific, which, by the way, can be combined with to make it the War Global to include the War Europe, because that's going to be available as a reprint also at the end of the month. So we're looking forward to those two big games end of this month. And then we'll round out September with Granada and then Kharkov battles. I apologize, I have the wrong image there. That's Enemy Action Kharkov. That needs to be switched out. That is actually going to be Kharkov battles. I'll fix that as soon as I get a chance tonight. And then Russian Campaign and Imperial Tide, another, by the way, Gregory Smith title, which we'll talk about a little bit tonight as well. Those games will be released in October. So again, just a little bit of errata there with the one cover, but overall, schedule remains stable. Games have been released. We're happy to see people have received Defending America. And again, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Also, just to update you, we released our newsletter earlier today. And just to go over that quickly, of course, the big news is Defending America is now shipping. So that's front and center for our newsletter. Granada, the Kickstarter is about to end. So we have less than 37 hours to go. So if you haven't had a chance to check out the Granada Kickstarter page, please do. As always, you'll not only get a video of unboxing of all the final components for the game, but if you scroll down, and I'll try to do so quickly, yes, right here. If you scroll down, you can also get a quick peek of the actual rules for the game. So you can flip through, carefully study. You can also download the rules. There's a little download next to the Compass logo, upper left. That gives you that PDF everybody's looking for. But you can go ahead and peruse the rules right off that Kickstarter page that we have handy right here. So definitely check that out. But again, it's the final 2 days for Granada as far as Kickstarter goes. As always, if you've already pre-ordered that game, you don't have to take any action. You're already set to receive Granada and no reason to do a Kickstarter pledge. We do have our summer special still going through the end of August. Those 5 titles are still available, as you'll see from the newsletter. And also you'll find the 5 titles listed on our news link. If you go to our news link, you can find those 5 special offers available. And as I've just mentioned, we have now back in stock Blue Water Navy and Enemy Action Ardennes. Still more to come. Already covered the war, Europe, and Pacific, so we've covered that. Also, a big hat tip to Mark Ruggiero and David White. Had the pleasure to speak with them at our last Compass Games Live episode a week ago. Definitely check it out from our YouTube channel if you can. It was a really fun chat with them to get to know David and Mark better, what their gaming interests are. It was a fun few minutes we had with them, and as always, we appreciate what they do. Also, Bill Thomas is out this week, which is why we don't have our town hall happening right now. So next week, we'll have Bill Thomas returning for the town hall, and Bill will have a special announcement he wants to make in support of the Compass Games Enthusiast Facebook group. So stay tuned for that bit of news next week when Bill rejoins us. Going to talk about this Learn to Play session in a moment here. So we'll have Mo join us here in a moment to talk about that. But again, just want to remind everybody our attendance numbers are continuing to grow for Compass Games Expo. We've added our special events to the website. A lot of seminars are going to be added as well. We have about 5 or 6 designer seminars, and then Bill Thomas will be doing a company update. And of course, the biggest news of all is at least 50% off all Compass products basically across the board. If you're attending the event, that's the big special we like to provide. And of course, we're closing out. If I refresh this page, we are now live with this episode. That's why the clock's run out. So we'll have Mo on, then we'll be introducing Gregory Smith. And as I mentioned earlier, if you want to check out our YouTube channel, this is our last episode, 62, where we had Mark. We had Mark on Ruggiero and David White for the enthusiast page. Definitely want to check that out. Also, we had John Southard on as a surprise guest, designer John Southard, and he talked about a few, he made some news with some announcements about some game projects that he's doing with Compass Games. So if you were able to join us last week, you'll know what that's all about. If you missed that episode last week, definitely check out the recording and watch the latter half with John Southard, and you'll get caught up. So what I'd like to do in the meantime is let's focus here on the Learn to Play. So let's bring in Maurice Fitzgerald as always. Mo, it's great to have you here again, and I'll bring up the graphic here in a moment. But I know you've had a pretty hard week of work. I heard last week was a little crazy for you. You've been working your tail off lately, I think.
Yeah, it was a little busy. I got NATO on the table. I'm trying to do an AAR of the strategic surprise scenario, and every time I try to get going on it, something came up. So there was always something going on at work last week, it seems. So now I'm finally getting that moving along, and I'm trying to do a video for each turn, so that way everybody can kind of enjoy that, and also it'll be an extra way of learning the game a little bit more for everybody. And hopefully I get all the rules right, but I'm working on it.
No, they're fine. That's your replays or sessions are great. Your play sessions are great. So let's talk a little bit about the session. It's actually coming up just in a few days. If you could walk us through what this is all about, what the Learn to Play is all about, and what the next session is going to be coming up in a few days.
Sure. Next one is going to be, as you see on the screen, Hearts and Minds, which is going to be done by Carl Crater from the Wargame Bootcamp, who's also in the chat right now. He does a great job. Him and Tim do a great job with Wargame Bootcamp, and they really do a fantastic job, I should say, not just a great job, but they do a fantastic job teaching games. So he was a great resource to tap for this. And it's an older game. It's not, just not brand new like we've been doing a lot lately of the newer games with Blue Water Navy and with NATO, but we're going to kind of step back a little bit, do this, and then next month we'll be doing the Conquistadors. But Carl's going to do a class on it on Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So just like we did before, be in the Discord, be in the Learn to Play area, and just come in there with your questions. If you played the game before, make sure you have your questions ready, and just sit back and enjoy the ride, as Carl's going to give us a walkthrough of the game, teach the game, and I'll record it, and I'll be posting it up online as soon as that's done.
All right, and those that aren't familiar with Discord, I'll just spend a moment, just a quick moment on it. We can provide support as well. You can email me at John@Compass Games if you need help with Discord. But if you look at the homepage for Compass, the very top right, you see our typical social icons, YouTube, etc. Then the last one people won't recognize, that's actually the Discord server link. So if you click on that, and I'll actually launch my app for Discord just so everybody can get an idea of what it looks like here. So let me just pull it up here. So again, I've got a lot of things going on here, so I apologize for that. But we have our Compass Games server, and then if I scroll to the left, we have a lot of topics. I again realize it's a little bit hard to see, but we've got our Learn to Play. I'm actually highlighting it here, the Learn to Play session. There's a text channel just to chat, and then you can go right into the actual live session that has the audio, video, high-def video, which we upgraded to make sure it's really good screen quality. So again, I know for some who are just joining Discord, it has a little bit of a curve at first because the interface is somewhat, somewhat unique, I guess you would say. But again, just on the left side, basically you can navigate the server for Compass Games, go to Learn to Play, and you'll be set to go. If you need added support, we're happy to provide that as well. So
sure,
just want to show that there briefly just for everybody. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. And then do we want to announce anything for September yet, or do we want to hold off on?
Well, we already talked about that last week. Remember, we said that the Conquistadors is going to be the one for 9/22 on September 22nd, 8 p.m. Eastern time. John Southard's going to be giving that class, so it should be real good.
What a great that is a great segue, because Kevin Convoy, who's a regular with us here and on the Discord channel, he's finished, as you can see here at Vassal. I brought this up intentionally because it was released about 24 hours ago. So the module for Vassal for the Conquistadors is again, that's a John Southard design that is now available for download to use. Pretty much all the information's there. You just have a few charts and tables that aren't part of the Vassal module. You just want to have the little player aid cards on your side while you're playing it, and you're all set. But yeah, it's all there. You can see the screenshots and everything. Just go to if you go to the Vassal website, it's actually top of their news. It's the most recent module that has been added to their site. So it's very easy to find the Conquistadors module, and this will come in handy because I think, Mo, you use these for the learn to play sessions, if I'm understanding correctly. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we use the Vassal in the Discord. It'll be the presenter will share their screen, and I record directly from the Vassal service that way with the cleanest video possible. And then I'll post a video up as I always do after, because I'll go in there and I'll kind of edit it down for time and also content, and then try to add some digital assets as well to try to help make the learning experience that much more clear for everybody, because that's what the intent of this is, to teach people so that way they can get into these games a lot faster. And
the recordings, have that been working out okay for you to have the recorded sessions? And it was interesting, you actually, when we talk about the recorded session after, I want to talk about an interesting idea. You did a post-mortem. If you could talk about this post-mortem debrief, maybe you called it, share a little bit about what you did for NATO. I thought that was interesting, the debrief that you did.
Yeah, what we did was, when Bruce gave the NATO class, at the end of it, there was about a good 20 to 25 minute discussion. I think it was like 25 minutes. And then when I edited it down, came to like 20, 21 or 22 minutes. But I kept that separate from the teach itself, because I figured, you know what, let everybody get in there and get the information out of the game itself that he's teaching and presenting. Yeah. And then leave the discussion for a separate post-mortem type of thing, like a debrief, like you were saying, because I thought the information presented there by both Bruce and Fred was fantastic. And it was just another great, nugget of information for people to have. But I figured, instead of doing it all at once, let's separate it so people don't ignore that. And that way people can sit down and get a lot of good information, a lot of little nuggets that will help you in your play of NATO.
Yeah, which is really helpful. To always have those little nuggets is helpful, and to learn from how, when you're playing it. And I like how you posted on your videos, if there was a little error made or a roll was missed, you brought it up. You actually edited your video and mentioned it, which was very cool. So
well, if I don't, someone else in the audience will definitely correct me. Well, people will correct you. They'll say you missed that.
But I like it. It's like you don't watch the video and then you don't read a note in the comments at the end saying, "Oh, I did this wrong." It's like, while you're watching the video, when something's happened that may have been wrong, you like catch it right away in the video. So it's not disjointed at all. So it's easier to flow that way. So excellent job. And then I did want to mention Jack's helping us a lot. He's got a tournament going on right now as well, using the Discord server. So we also have some tournament play going on. So it's great job, Jack, what you're doing. And it's great to have the monthly Learn to Play sessions. Happy to have Carl here tonight. I want to thank Carl so much for being willing to volunteer, and also for his War Game Bootcamp work. It's mentioned in the newsletter with a link to their site that they've done amazing work. It's, I think, over 15 years at least. I think they've been doing this, and they've really helped bring a lot of people into the fold of the hobby just by really welcoming them and giving them an easy on-ramp to the hobby. So absolutely fantastic stuff.
So two other things, if you don't mind. You just mentioned the tournament, and Jack's done a great job with it. But after this tournament's over, don't leave it all to Jack to come up with another tournament. If anybody has a tournament idea, definitely present it to us. Let us know, and you can even hit Jack up. I'm sure he's more than happy to talk with you about how he set up the tournament and things like that. And he would be able to get other people to get tournaments going after this.
That would be wonderful. That's a great suggestion. Absolutely.
And then the other is, if there's anybody that is into designing Vassal modules, please contact me on the Discord.
That's a good tip. Yeah, because we definitely could use more Vassal authors. And as I mentioned, Kevin Convoy just finished Conquistadors for us. He's going to start one or two more. And Joel Toppin's still working on wrapping up, I believe, the NATO update, so we can release the NATO Vassal module, which is in high demand right now. A lot of people are playing it. So as soon as it's available, he's got all the production artwork for it. It's just a matter of it getting done. So hopefully we'll be done very soon.
Good deal. Well, like I said,
all the files.
Like I said, if anybody does Vassal or is interested in Vassal, seriously interested, get in touch with me, because we're working on getting a team together. So please contact me as soon as you can, because we want to get that going.
I'm going to let you take this one from Greenhorn on YouTube. I am not going to touch this question, but is that a real opossum in the background? And what's the story behind the opossum? I can't even begin to explain. I don't have the energy level to go through the whole, you explain the whole opossum thing. You take it away.
A few weeks ago in the chat, we have a lot of little things that happen in here. As you can see, the Applebee's behind me, that's like an ongoing joke here. And then the possum became an ongoing joke. So I says, hey, you know what? Now the opossum is an official part of the whole Compass story, as is Applebee's. So let's just merge them together. And opossum just one day just wandered in and set foot on the bar, and he just staying there ever since. I don't know if he's still waiting for a drink or just hanging out, but he's part of the crew now. So it's
now,
all part of the
if you had him lower, if you had his head just at the bottom of your screen, that'd be like a Bill Thomas sort of represent, where half the face is covered. If you had like a chin covered up, just move the opossum chin down where it comes up. That would be a nice little ode to Bill Thomas. I think that would be awesome.
Well, we're gonna have to do some art like that. We're gonna have to get remember the old Kilroy was here. We're gonna have to call it Billroy was here, and have Bill kind of just looking over the fence, kind of like Kilroy was.
Oh boy.
That would be great.
There you go. Perfect. And I guess it is probably going to become the Compass mascot
yeah.
And we got the Applebee's. We already got our food dining thing settled. So I'm excited to see what we move on to next. But hey, Mo, thanks again for joining us so much. Thanks for getting Carl involved as well for the Learn to Play. It's coming up in just a few days. Again, for everybody, just a reminder again for the session upcoming, which I'm going to show here in a second here. Boom. Right there. We got Carl Crater. Again, it's on the 18th at 8 o'clock. Don't miss it. Hearts and Minds. You don't have to own the game. You don't have to have it set up. Just sit back, watch, enjoy. You could, I think you could also post questions. If I'm not, I'm trying to remember. Yes, you can post questions in the chat, right?
You can post questions in the chat, and then when the presenter asks if there's any questions as he's going along,
facilitate. Because it's on Discord. Exactly, it's on Discord for that. Great. Yeah. And then last thing I want to mention before I let you go is, will you be available for the Applebee's Lounge with the opossum tonight after we're done here?
I will be. I will be there.
So on the Discord server, just like we have the Learn to Play room, there's also our after hours Applebee's Lounge. We call it the Applebee's Lounge, and if you go there, we do video chat, and we have nice HD quality video chat. Doesn't break up like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy. It's really clear, and it's a lot of fun. All right, Mo, keep up the great work. I hope work doesn't keep you too far down. Hopefully, they won't drive you insane. It was great to have you on tonight.
Great, thanks a lot, John.
Take care and have fun on the 18th with Carl. I'll be looking on as supporting it as well on the 18th.
Will do.
Take care. Bye-bye. All righty. Well, that was wonderful to have Mo on for a little bit. One thing I want to share, because this question came in, and it actually comes in. We have certain projects that can take longer to get done. And before we get started with Gregory Smith, I thought I'd bring up something here. So it was asked about Hitler's Last Gamble. That's been on pre-order for 3-4 years now. What's going on? Is no work being done on the game at all? It's just sitting there. So want to share with you a little bit how we do our work, at least how I do my projects here, using Basecamp as a project site. So just to show you how active it is. So we have here Hitler's Last Gamble. We have the team that's involved, Danny Parker, his own crack crew, his own crack team that's been working on it for quite a while. We have a message board. If I go to the message board, you can see here 330 messages, 500 messages, certain topics. Get a lot of coverage, as you can imagine, a lot of iterations of game files. We've got all the game files here that we go through, which includes, then we have proofing and things to do. We've already done the counter sheets. We've already done the game maps. We're now doing the displays, getting ready for the rules. We've got the scenario folder. You can see we got designer notes, lots of detail. I have to say about Danny Parker, his knack for meticulous research and being very detail oriented is not being missed here on this project. He's very meticulous, and that's why there is a big rampway for Hitler's Last Gamble to get this project completed. If you notice here, just looking at the project activity for today, so this is today, as of 6:47, less than an hour ago, we have Richard Hoffman, who's one of the developers, crack team members, posting a document here, giving updates on the final order battle. I think this is probably for the German side. And then you can see there's other comments from yesterday, a lot of comments from yesterday, and then Tuesday this week. And then you can see we're proofing files. There's some of the displays getting proofed. Some of a unit value had to be fixed on one of the order battle displays, or the hex number had to be updated. So here we're showing a close-up of what it needs to be for the artist. And then more, again, we're on the displays. So literally for the last 3 years, and you can see messages having here multiple messages within the hour. I can can scroll here for probably about an hour or two, just at this speed. Just keep going. So there's literally 1,000, 2,000 messages for Hitler's Last Gamble. It's really shaping up nicely, the project. But again, yeah, it's taking considerable time, but I don't mind that because we want to do the game right. We don't want it to be for you as a gamer. I know people were excited about the 3W release back in the 80s. Maybe it was early 90s, 80s, but it had quite a bit of errata to it. It had, it was really unfortunate. And this is really the Magnus Opus for Danny Parker. We want to do it right. So these are the steps we go through. We don't rush anything. We've got a whole team involved. They have to huddle up and do what they do, and we do multiple iterations as we go. So I thought it'd be interesting just to sort of shed the curtain a little bit behind some of the project work we do at Compass Games, just to share that. But let's talk about something more exciting. Let's bring in our special guest for tonight. He's a regular on many content contributor sites, so it's always a pleasure to have Greg. Greg, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, buddy. I'm excited to be here, and I have to apologize. I always get excited, but I mean, if I don't get excited about my games, who is going to get excited about them? Usually I work on topics that have my own personal interest. So no, great. I've got a lot of irons in the fire, as hopefully we'll point out here in a few minutes, and feeling really happy that American Tank Ace has been put to bed.
Yep. American Tank, that's important. We should probably pause there. American Tank Ace, bless the water, holy water. American Tank Ace is off to the printer. I'm just checking the rule booklet file for one thing, but all the other files are printer ready, all organized and ready to go. So yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, so it's pretty neat. So I'm glad to see that one get out. I was due to do a tank game. It was my time. But yeah, so I got a lot of projects. Well, obviously Defending America just came out, and
yeah, let's talk about Defending America a little bit. I think it's worth doing that because it's only been out, maybe people have had it for a week or two at tops, and I want to thank you, Greg. You did a nice play tutorial. You put some good effort in. I saw you really set up a table nicely with a view. It's not easy to do. It takes a lot of effort. That's why I always appreciate these people.
If Bill ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. So he's
well, we want the customers. It's more important to make sure our customers are happy than Bill.
Well, but his point is well taken. A good how to play tutorial goes a long way. Also videos. I mean, I did put out a video too right away on just went through the first turn where I failed miserably at flight school, which much to the laughter of some of my customers. But yeah, so but no, Bill's got a great point. It's important. But yeah, so it's
give us the elevator pitch. Give us the elevator pitch on the concept of this game and how it ties to another title.
Okay, just real quick. It's the reverse of America Bomber, and in fact, there are rules to meld the two games together. So if you why would you want to do that? Well, if you want to shoot your buddy down, pretty much.
And it's a solitaire. It's a solitaire game. It's a solitaire game based on a popular Avalon Hill game, right? So is that worth mentioning?
Well, the original concept was B-17 Queen of the Skies, which led to, America Bomber, the evil Queen of the Skies, from the opposite side. And so Defending America is you're playing a whole bunch of actual plus hypothetical and experimental American aircraft from basically roughly 45 to 48 time frame. The game's 47 to 48, but you've got aircraft that were available from about 45. So it's you've got all these experimental American aircraft, which I assume would have gone into production, and it's hypothetical or alternate history. Some people might be saying, but it's clean, it's fast, it plays well. It's not exceptionally difficult. But it's fun,
So I missed it. Vexed FE over on YouTube and Tom D over on YouTube, but they're referencing this flight school round. So
yeah,
what did I miss? What did I miss exactly? What happened there?
Well, one of the fun things I put into this game for the first time, which I thought was kind of cool, was I figured, well, it used to be you just get an experience point. I say, oh, you've gone to flight school.
Yeah.
And in this game, I said, well, heck, let's have flight school, so you have to go do all these different things and gunnery training and parachute training and landing training and all this kind of stuff. And if you don't screw up the die rolls, you get minor game benefits. And of course, I literally failed every single flight school test. It was awesome. And I have it on video. You can see it on YouTube on my channel. So yeah, that was pretty epic.
I'm going to pull, I have to pull it up here just so people can see what we're talking about. So let me do this. So I have to share this just so everybody knows. So over, yeah, here we go. So we're on our friend YouTube over here, our friend. So here you can see Greg's got a really nice setup. He did a really good job with the setup here. Yeah, avoid the video analytics on the right. That's just a little module I have. But you can see here, maybe I can go full screen here a little bit. So nice setup, Greg. You take everybody through, and I guess you just failed miserably at how to fly.
Yeah, well, at least I did shoot down a bomber, if I recall, but
okay.
First mission. But anyway, it was just a one mission playthrough just to get people started.
Great.
So
a lot of comments, a lot of comments about your flight school. Looks like you're famous already. So people will have to check out. I'll have to check out. I haven't had a chance to.
Yeah, it was epic. But it's
kitchen table cockpit is most.
It plays fast, and you get to shoot down the Nazi, America bombers, and you do have some interesting choices. You've got to decide about. Well, first off, and this is actually Mo talked me into putting the Marines into it, I believe. If I recall.
Really? Okay.
Because I used to have just Air Force and Navy, and then easy to do the Marines.
Yeah, you probably got killed on purpose. You just wanted everybody to feel good, like.
Yeah, but you've got some carriers, and there's risk reward to going in closer to the German base with your carrier, but you might get caught. And there's some decisions to do on research as far as looking ahead, what you want to do, and of course the main core of the game, besides tactical decisions. Which you have more of in the advanced. There's actually basic combat and advanced combat.
Okay.
So once you get a feel for the system, you might want to try the advanced combat because you have more decisions to make.
Was that new to Defending America that America Bomber didn't have, or did they both have it? What was the difference? Were there any key differences?
Well, actually, advanced combat sort of came out of Interceptor Ace. I didn't really have it in America Bomber because you're. That's sort of the basic way America Bomber had it in there. But anyway, long story short, plays clean, plays fast. You do have some decisions to make, and it's fun. So it's not intended to be, war in Europe. It's one little map and play, but I think it'll fill that niche for when you want to get in 15, 20 minutes of wargaming and then put it away and then do whatever you need to do for your, family duties and then pick it up again the next night. So I think that's yeah, exactly. So
all right, well, I hate to spoil the mood here for everybody, so I think I need to mention this. It was also listed in our newsletter for those who are subscribers. But you mentioned it connects and ties to America Bomber, Evil Queen of the Skies. You have that option to combine the two. And Bill is on a holiday this week. That's why we're all so sad and depressed that he's not able to do that town hall. So we're going to do it next week. But he just emailed me yesterday, and he told me, I guess Billy's in the warehouse. There's 40 copies left of America Bomber, and we're sold out. So I don't know what's in the distribution channel. I don't know what's available online through retailers or through Marketplace, BGG, you name it, or in Europe. But yeah, we're down to 40 units of America Bomber. Maybe less now because the newsletter has been out for a few hours to let everybody know. Yeah, we're not scheduled to do a reprint for now. Right now it's usually, and even if we did, it would take a while to get the game back. So if anybody's interested to combine both games, they need to act quickly here because it is 40 copies.
Good time to segue into the fact that the next issue of Paper Wars, issue 100, is going to have an America Bomber expansion in it. Basically an expansion pack, 6 new bombers to supplement the existing 6, and a host of new interceptors to shoot you down, which actually are the same that a lot of them came across from Defending America. So the games do share a lot of DNA actually, but the X-Pack is going to be neat. Issue 100, there's probably I think there's 70, 80 counters.
So there's quite a few counters that are being
half
pretty
the
robust.
Is Inkerman or whatever Ty Bomba's game is there, and he told me, I got like 80 spares. What can you do with those? I was like, we have a plan.
All right.
So you'll have
we got
16
Gimpy here.
bombers
Gimpy's
and a new
gonna
sheet and a
Yep.
bunch of new fighters, and it'll be
Yep.
it's a essentially almost doubles the size of America Bomber game wise. The only issue is it's not standalone. So the Paper Wars 100, you'll need the base America Bomber game.
absolutely no. It's not a standalone.
Yeah, it's
it's an expansion.
Exactly.
And then just Greenhorn's asking over on YouTube. Bill will be back on holiday probably over the weekend, so he'll be back next week in the office, and we'll have a town hall with Bill Thomas next week. So we've just rotated our schedule a little bit. So there you go. So yeah, so I thought it was important. So thanks for mentioning the expansion for America Bomber for Paper Wars 100 that the game combines with Defending America. I had to mention we only have 40 copies left because I want to make sure people on this channel get the first crack at ordering it. So yeah, definitely want to get that out, even though it's not, I hate sharing news like that because we like to think we have more in stock, but hey, it is what it is. Also, quick note here from Melwinius. Can I say this? Melwinius Serrano Olfram from New York. I did it in one breath. So thank you for joining us, Melwinius. And he wants to thank you for many hours of entertainment with Night Fighter Ace. And gosh, I don't know if I could recall all the titles. Let's see. The Hunters, Silent Victory, The Hunted, The Med.
About 13.
What say again?
I've got about 13 out or 14.
And then the ones you've collaborated with people on. I know you've done there's Zeppelin Raider, but then there's crossovers.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, now I will tell you that Night Fighter Ace to this day remains my favorite design, just because of the fuel consumption. I thought was elegant, but
very cool. And then
a lot of research went into that one.
Yeah, and then so a lot of we're going to talk about the titles coming up from you. So we're obviously excited about talking about all the titles. So yeah, a lot of favorites out there. And then I want to mention Interceptor Ace 2, which you're helping support a designer who's done that. That's already at the printers. So Interceptor Ace 2, the later period, for those that like Interceptor Ace, yes, we're going to have that later one. That'll be out next year, early next year, I think. Let everybody know.
Which actually kind of like the Hunters Hunted. It's like Interceptor Ace. Who's going to want to do the end of the war? It's so gruesome, but it's like,
we like that gruesome. It's a challenge.
War Gamers like pain, I think.
Edward, thanks for joining us, Edward, on YouTube. Is there any news about an Interceptor Ace reprint? I'll find out from Bill next week. He did mention to me there's a bunch of games he's had to reorder. I don't want to give away his thunder, though. It's really news I want him to share.
Is Interceptor Ace sold out?
It might. Let's find out. So I'm off.
Probably.
It's been
over a year, I would guess.
Probably asked about it, so maybe it is
close to sold out. Yeah, all right.
Let's see here. Interceptor Ace is not sold out. It is available, so that's. At least if it's working right. Let's see. Is there yes, it's now available. So I can confirm this. There you go. So we still have that game available. But yeah, but again, America Bomber is going to be probably sold out here in about a week or less, probably. So thank you, Edward, for joining us. Much appreciated. Let's see here if we have any questions for you before we move on to the next one. Bruce is just talking about the artwork for Western Front Ace. We'll talk about that here in a moment.
Yeah.
Charles is playing Defending America. One mission, best first mission ever. 2 bombers shot down. Next mission, I'll get shot down. Gimpy Gamer Nate Rogers says Silent Victory is a perfect.
Yeah, I like Silent Victory too.
So we'll talk about another title you're working on that Nate you might be interested in.
If Gimpy likes subs, I think the technical term is segue, right?
Exactly. And then
can you bring up the Atlantic Sentinels first?
Yeah, we got a lot of titles to bring up. I'm going to clear out these questions real quick first before we do that. Let's see here. Actually, was the first games I covered when he started. And then Michael, so we're down to 39 copies of America Bomber. Michael's passed his initiative die roll for this evening, and he has been successful. And there was one less copy of America Bomber. So he's ready for, so which means he's ready for
He's-
Paper Wars
he's-
100, or he's going to have to
He
subscribe or get
failed
Paper
his
Wars 100.
he failed his willpower die roll.
Failed the willpower die roll. That's another way to look at it. Bruce is asking about Mig Alley. Would there be something around Mig Alley sometime? So
No, that's I half of my games are because people suggested them to me. So that's a good, maybe Mig Alley would be a good thing for me to look into. Sure, Bruce.
And then what about, let's talk about Compass Games Expo just for a moment. I mentioned it earlier in the show. It's going to be November 11th through the 15th in Connecticut, and you're planning to be there. Could you share with everybody what you're planning to cover at the Compass Expo?
I'm bringing a fully functional version of American Tank Ace with production quality materials. So I was going to actually sort of probably do a tournament with that. Might be easier to do one tournament wise, something that's published, but we'll see. I'll figure that out maybe when we get a little closer. I'm bringing a functional version of Western Front Ace. So if you're excited about that, I'm bringing a crap ton of T-shirts of Western Front Ace and American Tank Ace, and maybe some defending American ones. I'm not sure what I got left, but I'm giving those to Bill for him to figure out how he wants to distribute those. But if you come to Compass Con and don't come away with one of my T-shirts, you're a slacker.
That's nice of you to offer the T-shirts. We love your T-shirts. So thanks for bringing T-shirts.
But yeah, so I'm gonna possibly run a Western Front Ace tournament or an American Tank Ace tournament, one or the other, or maybe both. I don't know. I'll be demoing those. I'll probably have a semi-functional version of Sensuicon there. I'll have a playable version of Stucase there too. So
perfect. And then we'll have you host a chat. We're going to have you host a chat to answer.
Sure. So there'll be no shortage of but I'll try to. Emery, I hear you, and I had a blast doing the tournament too, with the wall charts and all the victories. We'll see if I can't work something up.
Awesome. And I just want to give a shout out to Magnus because of the time change. He's over in Sweden.
Hardcore.
And it's really hard. It's really hardcore, Magnus. Magnus is a hardcore dude because it's got to be, gosh, I'm going to guess 1, 2 a.m. for Magnus right now. Same for the UK, pretty much. So Magnus, thank you for joining us at this crazy live hour. We hope you enjoy it and you can stay awake at least, as they say. Let's see here. Other comment. I think we have a lot to cover. So let's do this. Let's start. I'm going to bring in the banners so we can. You can pick if you want, or I'll pull up a banner.
Whatever one just go.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's give an update really quickly on where we are with Western Front Ace, the great one here.
Bruce Yerian, by the way, was saying how good Ian Wedge artist is, which is true, but he's no slouch himself. So Bruce knocked out all the dress-up dolls for us. Thank goodness, there's 8 of them. And I have just to give you an idea of how much art there is in this project. That I have a third artist. Yeah, that's Bruce Yerian's cover there. Gorgeous.
Yeah, I love it. Great cover.
A third artist, Nadir, is working on the player aid cards, but Bruce did because there's 7 different nationalities to fly for, and plus British Naval, so there's actually 8 dress-up dolls. But pretty much all the art is done in the entire game, except we're finishing a couple of player aid cards.
Right.
And then we've got to lay out the rules.
Yeah.
And then Ian Wedge has been overachieving. There's no other way to say that about the medals. So the counters are gorgeous. You probably ought to get a magnifying glass. They are 9/16 counters, but this artwork he's been doing for all the medals is just gorgeous. But Ian's still got some work to do on the counters. I mean, there's like 340 of them or something. It's a bunch.
That's awesome. Well, we're excited about it.
Yeah, and, but basically, this is coming to.
It's coming. It's definitely getting there. And
seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, without question. So that's the update on Western Front Ace. I worked on it just this week. Worked on it last week with Nadir, my new artist, and Ian's done a few things, and so we're getting there. It's light definitely soon.
All
as
right. Well,
far as on our end, shipping it on the slow boat to China maybe take a while.
let me see if there's any questions. What questions on Western Front, Ace? I don't
All the
see
cards
any
are
right
doing too.
now, so I
That's
think
good.
we're good. So that's
All
great.
right.
So let's move on to the next project. So let's now talk about some newer projects, and these are ones where we're just starting perhaps artwork on,
Yeah.
or haven't started
Various
artwork
stages.
yet, but we're getting ready to do so. So here's the next one for everybody, and this is for Nate Rogers, Gimpy Gamer, because he
Yeah.
mentioned Silent Victory is one of his favorites, and so here's a Japanese flavor,
This
and I think
is
I have Yep.
Silent Victory from the other side. It's Japanese fleet boats, 41 to 45. This is obviously just a prototype map, but I mean, the game will eventually involve such things as bombing the Panama Canal, possibly.
there it is. Yep, at bottom right.
And of course, you can launch aircraft and bomb the forests in Oregon. Everybody knows about that in 1942. But this was a really difficult design. It was probably why it took me so long. You would have thought that right after Silent Victory, I would have dove into this. But the Japanese had amazing submarines. I got a ton of them in the game. There's like about 16 classes or so, plus or minus. We've got aircraft on board the submarines that are disassembled in watertight hangars, and they reassemble them and take off and fly missions, reconnaissance. There's the midget submarines, like the ones they launched at Pearl Harbor. Well, those came off of C class. So I've got those in the game. You got midget submarine missions, and then you also have suicide torpedoes, sort of like the kamikazes of the sea, the Kai-10.
Oh my gosh!
So they would
torpedoes.
they would have 4 or 6 of these suicide manned torpedoes on the deck, and then they would pull up to a harbor and they'd launch these things, and the guys would try to guide them in, but of course they're freaking going at 30 knots or whatever.
That's such an interesting.
They were difficult to steer. They had issues. They actually sank I don't know, 5 or 6 American different ships, an LST, a couple of cargo ships.
That's a poignant but such a sad title, almost, Kamikazes of the Sea. Yes. For like a standalone title. I mean, when you said Kamikazes of the Sea, I just sort of stopped because that's like, it's catchy in a very morbid way, I guess, for me.
Well,
because it's a very
there's definitely I-boats in there. There's basically all the classes. The thing that is going to make this a big project is the fact that we've got 3 separate modules. So if you have a midget submarine strapped on top of your sub, then you use the midget module.
Okay, that makes sense.
If you have an aircraft carrying submarine and you launch your aircraft, then you use the aircraft module, and then you also have a Kai-10 module. So you have these 3 sort of sub game, no pun intended, sub modules to the main game. And the midget subs are in there. You attack Pearl Harbor with them. The Diego Garcia, I think, Sydney, Australia, gets attacked by the midgets. That's a thought, 6. So anyway, Sensuakan it's kind of neat. You also have a lot of special missions, because that's why the Japanese submarines really didn't perform like American submarines. They didn't have the same job. They weren't really sent to mess with merchant shipping, although they did do that sometimes in the Indian Ocean and sometimes off the west coast of America. But mainly they had them screening the main force, the main surface fleet. They had them reconnaissance, doing all kinds of weird stuff. So that's all reflected in the game. Once I figured out how to do that, it started coming together, and very excited about it. Got a lot of help from Brett Grimmond, a friend of mine in Australia. Who had a high interest level, obviously, in the topic. So,
what's the most interesting wrinkle to the design that you most enjoy already from having, done the development work and some places?
I think the modules are cool. The aircraft
modules, like the midget submarine module.
Yeah, you're going on, for bombing, or who hasn't wanted to set, Oregon on fire, right? That's
plenty of fires going on.
The modules are pretty neat, and the your mother still remembers the Sydney attack. Well, good. Awesome, Andrew. That's it's in the game. You can actually do that. I think the most unique thing is the way that the missions work. There's a lot of major event counters that go on the map, and so if those are active, and your sub has a mission to that zone while that major event marker is active, you have to participate in that major event, which might be midway, it might be a Guadalcanal resupply, it might be screening the Aleutians or whatever. So that it all ties in together. I mean, it's random what you do based on what you roll, what your mission's going to be, but it works. It's neat. So yeah. Well,
and some people in Oregon that are getting nervous, that are taking it personal. Andrew's got a family. His mother took shelter in Sydney Harbor, so awesome. So it's amazing. So how did the leadership work? How did it always in your games you take on that personality, and you earn you earn rewards, awards, skills. How did that work in Japan? I'm not familiar with the Japanese sub.
Actually, they had a significant amount of awards that could be earned, which are in the game, like the Order of the Crimson Scarlet Dragon or whatever. I mean, I don't remember them all off the top of my head. It's been a year or so since I did the design, but the Order of the Sacred Treasure, I think, is one of them, and all kinds of. So it's my typical games where you get these medals and you can earn them.
Was there on the negative flip side? Were there any negative things where if a Japanese commander failed?
They didn't quite do that.
Oh, good. I'm happy to hear that. Okay. I think
you do get to choose options for your suicide torpedo guys. They can get 1,000 stitch belt, which raises their morale. It's a long story. 1,000 stitch belts. Brett Grimman made me put that one in, but
Brett had some good historical.
Ideas. Good historical tidbits. So there's a lot of history. It was pretty well researched. I'm comfortable with it. I think it's going to be a neat game. It's certainly, even if you have the Hunters or Silent Victory, trust me, this is a different ball of wax. I mean, okay, the core engine's the same. You're in a sub and you roll for encounters, whatever. But other than the core engine being the same, it's a different beast. So it'll be neat. I think it'll be really, and it teaches a lot of history. There's a lot of weird stuff in it.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Okay, so we've covered Western Front Ace. We talked about American Tank Ace. We've covered now Sensuicon. This has been a big, often requested from certain individuals, and let's introduce the next game design you've worked on, which is Atlantic Sentinels North Atlantic Convoy Escort.
People have been asking for this for years. Well, I was taking my evening walk one day, and it finally came to me. This is actually just this operations map, and again, these are just playtest materials. But the Western Ocean meeting point and the Eastern Ocean meeting point. That's just basically it's those convoy route. And what I figured out, I finally decided. See my normal. Yeah, you go back.
Sorry, I was jumping through. Let me go back here.
There we go. That's what you want to see. I finally came to the conclusion. I figured out, you know what? I can't do my normal drill, which is like if I put you in command of just a single destroyer or a corvette or a frigate. That's just not the way they fought. They fought more or less as a team. In small groups called destroyer escort groups. Escort groups. So I said, you know what? That's what you're going to command in this game. You're going to command an escort group, not a single ship. And once I figured that out, I was like, oh, wow. And then the really cool part, which really had me jazzed up, was the fact that I literally took the combat routines from the Hunters, the Hunted, Silent Victory.
Yeah.
That's what the AI, which will be the German U-boats.
Right.
That's how they attack your convoy. It's literally they roll for their ships. They roll to get the close, medium, or long. Now you get a chance to detect them with ASDIC, which is sonar. You can also detect them with their Type 271 radar, which will pick them up on the surface as they close into the convoy. So once I broke that code, I was like, oh my gosh, this works. And I was just so jazzed up. And of course, the other thing is I never knew, as convoys got bigger, I always thought that they got longer. And that's not true. They got wider. So a convoy is really this big rectangle moving sideways through the ocean. And that's how they did it. And so you have to make a lot of decisions based on where's the guy with your, well, you got HF Huff Duff direction finding, hopefully also in your group, but you've got to decide on where to place your escorts. And that gives them chances. And then the Germans randomly approach you in all these different approach boxes. You don't know which ones.
Yeah.
And so you've got to array your escorts and hopefully cover all sides of the convoy. And then after they attack, you've got to move people to the scene of where the U-boats are and try to sink them or at least keep them down while the convoy passes by. And then you got a straggler box at the bottom. Bad weather might give you stragglers, or if someone got damaged in a previous fight, they'll go in the straggler box.
Steve has an interesting question. Can the U-boat surface?
Well, it's
inside,
not
or I don't know how you represent.
They can certainly conduct night surface attacks, yes, and that does happen if it's night. The other thing is the battles actually occur. There's 3 cycles: day, night, day, or night, day, night, depending on what the first contact is, either day or night. And if it's day, they might just wait and send contact reports, and but they might attack during the day, but most of the time they don't.
More questions for you. William on YouTube's asking about how does the compatibility work with say
it would definitely I mean, you could literally, I actually wrote rules to merge the hunters in with it.
That's awesome.
So
that's what people want to hear. Bring the hunters with this together.
So your buddy can play the convoy, and then he's zipping along, and there may be a single U-boat he runs into, or nothing, and then maybe he runs into a wolf pack. And so when you merge the 2 games, you automatically go into the North Atlantic, and then you wait for that contact to happen, and then you get to be part of it, and then you get to try to penetrate your buddy's escort screen.
And then if it's a 2-player, yes, the German U-boat side can definitely talk to
we don't have
maybe a face-to-face play. You could always trash talk for sure. And then I want to welcome a bit of a celebrity here. Derek Case has done some awesome
Hey, Derek.
reviews.
Hey, brother.
He's a great contributor, and looking forward to see him get active again. Holy shit, it's Derek Case. I was gonna say, so Derek, welcome. Great to have you here on a Compass episode, catching up with Gregory Smith on. We're just chatting about some of his design work.
Derek probably jump-started my career when he told people he liked the hunters. So
well, Silent Victory, he was out there in Chicago, I think, or I remember Derek.
No, and he was on a boat in San Francisco. One of the
somewhere he took some photos.
They had tied up at the pier there, and he played Silent Victory on the sub. It was awesome.
Yeah,
what a video! But yeah, so Derek, you're gonna like this one, I think, a lot, because it's cool, because it's literally the hunter's combat system, but there's a little less abstraction for the initial detection, because you actually have the ASDIC, and you actually have the frigates, the Flower class corvettes, protecting your convoy, and that maybe gives you a role, and maybe you don't get a role if I can't tell you the number of times you'll set up your escorts, you think you got the convoy protected, and then the random roll, the U-boat comes on the one place I didn't put anybody.
Maybe it won't be ready. It will need more time. It won't be this year, but maybe 2022 we can have.
This would be awesome. So I don't know. I'm personally very jazzed up about this design, because it kind of takes me back to my roots for one reason, but also it's a neat little game. It's fun, and the testers just been digging it.
I remember you called me when you said you figured out this whole formation. The actual combat model.
Again, this is just a rough draft of the play tester prototype, but it's neat. It's kind of neat. And the other thing that really is neat about it is it's, besides the fact you can tie it together seamlessly with the hunters, the neat thing is that it's reasonably historical about how it goes about. So you're trying really to suppress the U-boats, meaning keep them down so that they can't screw with your ships, and then the convoy moves past them.
Yeah.
And that's why they kept them skinnier rather than let the convoys get longer, because the U-boats just aren't that fast underwater. So if you can get the U-boats to submerge,
Yeah.
and that's what the Type 271 radar, why that's so important. But anyway.
Well, let's see. Gosh, we've got a tank game. We've got a World War I air game. We've got a Japanese sub game. We've got a convoy destroyer escort game. Everybody has their pick that they're waiting for. Like Jason says here, he's like,
I'm a Renaissance man. I'd like to think that
you got the whole bases covered.
Sure.
Okay, so now looking at this, and I want to preempt this next one, which I think will be the last one we'll talk about for tonight. Is one thing Compass is probably pretty well known for is we're not shy about doing multiple games on the same theme. Like World War I strategic, we have like 4 or 5 World War I strategic games. You could say the same about other themes. So we're going to be talking about a game here now, which we actually have another design, which we're going to be starting artwork on soon, which is almost the same concept of what you have, Greg, but it's on a bigger scale. It's not just one pilot, but it's the whole. I don't know what's the. I forgot what the term is for the Germans when you
operational situation.
Whatever. Yeah. So we've covered so far. So let's do that. So what we have so far is we've covered Western Front Ace, Sensuicon. We talked about American Tank Ace. Now we've talked about Atlantic Sentinels. So now let's finish up with this one for tonight. Let's go back to the air and talk about Stuka Ace. And again, we have another Stuka game that's also being worked on, Storms of Steel, by Joe Perez. And that's going to be multiple planes, not just the one. Yeah. But but again, we like doing these multiple treatments, and we don't shy away from it.
Well, it's apples and oranges to a degree also.
Exactly. It absolutely is. Absolutely is. And then I might have some artwork to pull up in a second, but tell us a little bit about what the concept of Stuka Ace is.
Well, I originally wanted to call it Ground Attack Ace because it does have Sturmovix in it. Half the game is the Soviet side, but oh no, you have to call it Stuka Ace. All right,
Stuka Joe Ace too.
Yeah, well, trust me, Stuka Joe. When I told him about this, he got pumped up. He was excited. So
there you go.
He's definitely into it. But so Ground Attack Ace morphed into Stuka Ace. I think it's a little more iconic of a name, and they are a little more of the game is focused on the Stukas just because. You can start in 1939. See, originally I was just going to go 41 to 45 and just have the Stukas versus the Sturmovix. Well, they weren't versus each other, but you could play either side, 41 to 45, just the Russian front. And then I thought, well, people are going to want to, you're going to play a Stuka. People are going to want to bomb Poland. People are going to want to do Sea Lion. Or
Sea Lion, yeah, exactly.
The people are going to want to do the channel fights against the low radar towers, and people are going to want to bomb the French in 1940. So I thought, how can I do this? And so then I came. I had another one of these epiphanies, I guess you'd call it. I said, I'll just take So this is just sort of the operational map. But obviously, if you're a Sturmovik, you're just 41 to 45, and you're flying in one of the 3 sections of Russia, which have slightly different targets. You don't get ships in the middle. You get ships in the north and ships in the south because of the Crimean Peninsula. But you don't really get any ship targets in the middle there in Army Group Center. But now for the Germans, I thought, well, you know what? I can do Poland. Actually, that's an old picture because there should be a Poland square.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a playtest.
There should be a Poland white square dead in the middle there where Poland is.
Yeah, this is probably an earlier
version. Yeah, this is an earlier version, but it doesn't have the Poland 39. And then you could do Then from there, so what I did was time jumps.
Oh, time jumps to different periods. Okay, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Rudel is in the game. I have ace cards. I actually have eight ace cards. There's 4 German aces, Rudel one of them, and 4 Russian aces. Maybe
is Rudel in Stuka Ace?
Yes, he's in the game. So you can play him if you want, but basically, so the way the time jumps works is that's how I fixed. So I was like, oh, this will work now. So you do Poland 39, then you time jump ahead to France, then you time jump ahead to the Battle of Britain.
Like SPI's time tripper.
Yeah. Then from there, you can either time jump to North Africa, Well, I think you do time jump to North Africa,
North Africa.
and then from there you
Wow.
jump to either Greece or go to Barbarossa.
Now, as a pilot, I don't know if there were any careers like that. So, are you taking on different pilots because the pilots wouldn't shift the fronts like that in a linear way? You're like time jumping,
Well,
but you become.
when you time jump, I mean, they move the unit. I mean,
Oh, okay, so it's literally you could literally be the same pilot on a different front and actually go to these different 3 to 4.
Well, no, you are the same pilot. So you fly in Poland. Poland's over with in a month.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you have to move on.
Then you get stationed on the West Wall, and then you fly against France.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking of concurrent.
No.
Campaigns,
It's not.
East Front.
The time jumps is just a way to deal with the dead time in between the campaigns.
Gotcha.
Because obviously during the quote unquote phony war, there wasn't anything really going on Stuka wise per se, not major campaigns. But anyway, so the time jump business just takes care of all that. Or if you want to, you can just start off in 1941 in Barbarossa. And as a German, it kind of makes sense to play the early game because you get to build up your skills and you get your perks and everything, assuming you can stay alive. But the Russians don't have a choice. They start in 41. They don't start any earlier than that. But
right. And Jason's talking about some of the hardware here.
Yeah. It's but I have I don't know. I probably 8 or 10 different versions of the Stuka and 8 or 10 different versions of the IL-2. There's also PE-2 light bombers, and the kind of fun thing about this design was for the first time in my life, I've designed a game that has required a 12-sided die. So,
a 12-sided die in a Gregory.
Well, I even asked.
That's the headline for tonight. There you go.
I said, I didn't know. Well, the 12-sided die randomizes your targets on the on the display here, and then you decide which approach you're going to take based on your target array because you won't know what that is. So you come in, and then you like if you come in 2, you fly out 5, and then you can come back and take another pass and unload more ordnance, or you can get the hell out of Dodge and get for home. And of course, you might get intercepted by enemy fighters, which in a Stuka generally is bad.
Yes.
Because it's not the best flying plane. They're reasonably agile once the bombs are gone. But we got rules for all that. And then your skills, or you can try to get a dive bombing skill, or the level bombing skill, or rockets. All the IL-2s have rockets. This also has F8, Focke-Wulf 190 F8s, the ground attack version. Also Henschel 129s. So there's actually
how many aircraft total? Do you know how many aircraft total there are off the top of your head?
Oh gosh, about 20 maybe.
20.
I mean, I didn't cheat anybody out of their variants. Okay.
There's a question here about the Heinkel's 129s.
D1, D4. There's probably about 20 variants of all the aircraft.
Are the Heinkels in there? The 129?
Yes. Henschel 129s are definitely in there. Which if you go that way, you might want to get the rockets. But
more.
The different, and I got the big one with the big 70 big cannon on it.
More flight school. They're going to more flight school for you, unfortunately.
Flight school in this game, as a matter of fact. So yes. So it's kind of neat, and of course you're bombing stuff, and they're shooting back at you, and then you have to worry about the anti-aircraft or flak, depending. So it takes all that into account. I thought it was a lot of fun. Of course, I kind of cheat. I got some of those Wings of Glory World War II. I got a little JU-87.
Some of the miniatures and
and I got some. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Litco. They make
Litco. They have all those little pieces.
They have these little plastic explosions and bombs and stuff. So I bought a bunch of Litco, and I was like, dropping my little Litco bombs on people. It was kind of fun. But it's neat. It's different. It plays. Each mission is totally different because you have a different targets based on what it is, and so it works. I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, Stuka Ace is definitely a misnomer because there's Focke-Wulf 190 F8s. There's Henschel 129s. There's
Mo's
Sturmviks.
now
There's
connecting.
PD2s in it.
Mo's now connecting the games. Mo wants to have the tank ace against the Stuka ace.
Yeah, there you go.
He's getting these connections going, right? There
Yeah,
you
I
go.
don't think I'm going to write the rules
thinking.
to combine those two games. I don't know, but it's a neat game. I'm probably going to work on that pretty soon with my new artist who I love. Don't take this personally, Bruce. Why? I still love you, man. You know, in a manly sort of way. But and I love the Stuka's cover that Bruce Urian did too. He did a great cover for that. All of Bruce's covers I've been thrilled with. America Bomber, I think, is my favorite cover he's ever done for me of all my games.
That's awesome. Bruce does great work, and
so
we're lucky with the artists we have.
But
no, it's
it's either going to be Sensuicon or maybe Atlantic Sentinels next. Sensuicon probably ought to come next, but I'm more excited right now about Atlantic Sentinels. So, yeah, Stuka game's fun. You guys will like it, I think.
And then I'm going to give a public service announcement here for everybody, not just for you, Greg, in relation to your game, but just a general tip that we've just rolled out as part of my other hat, Consum World. So if I'll go here now. So I'll go to our Consum World properties we have. We have our news desk, and you'll see something new. We have something called videos as a link. And if you go to our forum, you'll see videos as a link on our hard to see. It's small type. It's where the mouse is. There's a little videos in the middle. It's the middle nav bar link. And then our new community, we also have videos. And if you click on videos, what it does, it automatically curates all the content contributors, at least, like the top 21, 22 content contributors in our hobby today. It will take you right here, and you'll see one of the most recent videos here. I guess the 8th one down. Ardwolf Lair just did an unboxing on.
That was a really nice. That was a good
America,
unboxing because he showed everything.
Yeah. So I'd say I just wanted. Yeah, just want people to know if you go to any of our property sites for Consum World, just look for the videos link, and that will take you. And this thing updates in real time. So if somebody drops in a new video, in 5 seconds, it's going to be on this top of this page. So it's a great way to see, what are the most recent videos, and you can expand and see more. You could expand it out. It covers maybe the last few days, 2 or 3 days. And then we're going to work on some additional services for a video library. But this is just to get a quick look at, what's been released on video in the last 2 or 3 days. And we definitely have Defending America and other Compass products in here. I think Mo's in here somewhere. And, we have some great content. I know Gimpy Gamer, you can see Gimpy Gamer's got the most recent one. That's out here. Bootcamp 22 is out. So you can actually go to him right here for Gimpy Gamer. So again, they're all getting automatic some good information in support of games, and then for the learn to play sessions that Mo does, they'll show up in here as well for the recording. So just want to share a little bit about that, just so people know it exists. It's out there. Support is important for all your games.
And I'm sorry you couldn't get a date tonight, but I was. I'm cheap and I'm available, and I'm
Bill left me at the altar tonight. He told me earlier in the week he was going to try to, because he loves doing his town halls. Don't get me wrong, he loves his town halls. And Monday he said, I'm going to dial in for my town hall from this remote undisclosed location. But he told me 2 days ago or yesterday, it's just not going to work out with my schedule. So I'm so happy you could.
I'm more than happy to catch everybody up on what I've been up to, and you can see I've been busy. I'm trying to stay busy.
Lots of stuff, and it would be great to have Mo.
Yes, I would love to do that. I think Imperial Tide is.
You already did that one with your table, so we know you're up for the challenge. And then we'll use Vassal. We'll make sure there's a Vassal, or we'll make it very easy. Somebody asked earlier about Tabletop Simulator, and yes, we do support Tabletop Simulator. The trick is to have people around to do it, and we just have more people focused on Vassal right now. But Brotherhood.
Yeah, I mean, if I could make Vassal modules, I would, but I tried it once, and
you're too busy with designs. And
the results are substandard. Me and Vassal don't get along as far as, I can use it, but I'm programming it. Wow. It's, I just was not, anyway.
Yeah. So I think we covered,
any questions for me?
We covered a lot. We covered, let me think. We covered Defending America. We talked about America Bomber because there's 39 copies now that Mike Kwan bought one tonight. Yeah. So there's 39
American
copies left. American Tank Ace. We talked
Atlantic
about that.
Sentinels.
Imperial Tide. We didn't talk about Imperial Tide all that much. So what can we say about Imperial Tide? It's going to be out within the next month or so.
All right. If all you old timers, if you go back, any of you ever played that folio game from Strategy and Tactics called World War I? Literally, that was the name of it. It was one little tiny mapper, and was all of World War I in sort of a neat, quick little play. It was a neat little game.
And Tim Allen's on tonight, or he was on earlier. I think he's still here. Tim did all the artwork for Imperial Tide.
Tim, if you're listening, despite me telling Bruce I love the America Bomber cover, this one is pretty cool too.
This is an awesome cover. I love. Yeah,
it is.
He
It's the
nailed this
Canadian
cover.
War Memorial, by the way, for any of you who don't know.
In Canada. This is where he lives. This is out where he lives.
That's the rendition of that for World War I. But
World War I. Christopher has the game. Christopher has that game.
I guess you could say that. I guess you could say that this was. I wanted to do something for the whole World War I, playable in a single evening, kind of simple and quick, but it really covered the whole war. And you still had choices. So I took the Pacific Tide kind of engine and said, here it is for the First World War. So it's card driven. Some people have called it Paths of Glory Light, which, okay, fine. This is actually a larger scale than that, if you can believe that. But I love Paths of Glory. Don't get me wrong. My problem with Paths of Glory is it can take forever to play. 5-6 hour games are not unusual. So Imperial Tide is, it's area driven, point to point, but it's card driven. But it's different from, and you can entrench, of course. All the major bells and whistles for World War I are basically represented in here. The Middle Eastern campaign is essentially abstracted, however. You kind of had to draw the line at that. But
keeps it focused and playable for the
so basically the focus is the European part of it. And it plays in an evening. It's got card driven, so it's similar to Pacific Tide in that you get the current year's cards for free, but you have to rebuy previous year's cards with your production. And the cool thing is, that's a bad card because it has no.
Oh, let me fix that. Let me
there we go.
This one. How about this?
Yeah, so you could rebuy this card for $2 if you wanted to. Screw with the Turks.
Cost $2 to bring it back.
The letter B means that it's a balanced card. That's for the solitaire bot
card.
Yeah, and obviously 1916s when it shows up. But I play a card, you play a card. Instead of playing a card, you can actually spend your resource points, which is a new twist on the whole system. So that's equivalent to playing a card. And each country has resource points. It sort of represents manpower and kind of like the CRPs in that first World War I game. It works actually pretty well. A few cards that don't make sense to have more than once have the star, meaning you can't rebuy them. But most of the cards you can rebuy, and they're mobilization cards, or bring in more infantry on the map, or some cards allow you to do Gallipoli, or another card allows you to do Salonika, another card allows you to conduct one card called Over the Top. You can do multiple attacks instead of just one attack. So all the cards do different things, and when you rebuy, it's a big decision on, do I buy this that gives me more raw resources, or do I buy this other card that gives me more attack options?
That'll be a great learn to play. This will be a great learn to play.
Yeah, there's some nuances to it for sure. And you can also spend your build points instead of buying cards. You can pump up your resources track for $1. So there's that decision to be made as well. So it's neat. It's a neat little game. It plays fast. The only thing that'll slow you down is if your opponent can't make up his mind on what card to play. But I in testing, we got it down to 2.5 hours basically.
I just posted a final call for any general questions for you. One question was, will you be attending the GMT warehouse event in a week? in California.
I will not. I live in Pennsylvania, and that's what we call a bridge too far. So sorry,
Okay.
I've been to that thing twice, and I loved it. I loved both times. So
catch Greg at
God
Compass
bless you. I
Expo
wish you were me, but I wish I was you for that.
Catch Greg in November at Compass Expo. That'll be
that's basically where you need to catch me this year.
Here's a question from Tony on YouTube.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us,
Tony. It's you actually aren't a lot. There are some units that start the game entrenched, very few, representing they're kind of in their static positions, but you're not allowed to entrench for the first 4 card plays of 1914. So you have to, once you play your 4th card or take your 4th action, then you can entrench people. So that sort of represents the mobile actions in August and September. And then once you get to the point where you can start entrenching, you can spend a movement action to flip a guy to his entrenched side. And the other way that it's accounted for, which really worked out great, I was kind of neat how this worked. But basically, you have to obliterate. Well, first off, the trenches take off 1 loss, just like Pacific Tide trenches did. So you ignore the 1st infantry loss. But not only that, is normally if you take more losses, you have to retreat. However, if you are entrenched, as long as you got 1 dude left, 1 body, 1 strength point remaining, you get to hold the trench. So you got to obliterate the guy to make that advance after combat. So the way it works out almost always is big attack. Defender might even play a defense card to cause you an extra loss or an artillery card. Right. You lose a guy because of the trench, then you roll. You wipe him down to 1 point, and he still holds. So it's kind of bloody. There's also, you could also conduct attritional attacks where you're just trying to grind the guy down, and you're not even allowed to advance after combat. You fry a point, and you fry a point of his. The trench warfare is accounted for, and it works out really well. I thought it just sort of shows that they had a hard time taking the trenches, and they did.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us on YouTube channel, John Longshore. He has a series of questions related to the same topic. I'll go through all of them before he answer. So first, he talks about a Lawrence of Arabia card using to replace the Aussie general in Gallipoli. So the question is about, does leadership have an impact on the Gallipoli front? He has other messages here. What he means is can you have a good general overseeing the Gallipoli campaign, or a card, some kind of a replacement card for having a UK general worth?
Those are all actually valid ideas and good ideas, actually, except for the fact the game's already back from the printers and are wrapped up and ready to be
expansion or Paper Wars or
possibly that could be a good expansion, or maybe
because I didn't know if you had a specific I didn't know if you had a specific leader card for a certain front in the game. I'm
not in this one. It's
because it was more.
It's a little more abstracted than that. So we don't. I don't really have the leader cards per se in this one that I can think of.
Okay.
It's been a while since I designed it, so I don't know. Okay. But valid points, John. But the game's already long done, so waiting to be shipped at this point.
All right. Jay's on YouTube asking about, can you give us a little background how the solitaire bot works in the game?
Yeah, I have to. I was shocked when I did the solitaire bot for Pacific Tide, but people liked it so much. I was like, well, I guess I'm on the right track. But it's a combination of specific guidance with general guidance. And what that means is it's a card-driven game. So the specific guidance comes in that as you flip cards, the cards are rated aggressive, defensive, or balanced. So there's 3 different ratings for the cards, which marry up with whatever your bot personality currently is. So your overall general is aggressive, like say the French guy, then Joffrey, then the A cards would be played first. So there's a hierarchy for playing cards for the bot. Yeah, there you go. A, B, and D. That's the way they play their cards, their priority. So that's very specific, but part of the criticisms I've heard of other bots for, like, say, the coin series, where they're so complicated, it's like a computer program, and it's 5 pages of if this, if then, if then, if then, 300 pages of that, and it's just so complicated. It's painful and tedious. It takes more time to do than it's worth. And so I said, you know what? Let's just, instead of having that, let's go with general priorities. And that's what the annual priorities are at the bottom. So the bot tells you sort of, hey, do this or do that, or, if you're the allies, you should do this, or I guess I should call them allies versus the central powers, you should do this.
Make it a little bit bigger so people can
so that's
it.
Your annual priorities. So 1914, your priority, take Brussels. All right, fine. So this just sort of marries up a very specific guidance on which card you get to play, linked up with sort of a general guidance, and how you I mean, it's just like anything else two-sided that you're playing solitaire. You got to give yourself a good game. If you don't, so you got to try to do your best as the bot, but I don't spell it out in excruciating, painful detail. I just have sort of generic guidance of things you ought to do, like attack Russia or attack Italy, or give a priority to entrenching, or strengthen your Italians, kind of thing.
That was a great question. I think we had just one more question. Time for one more question.
Okay.
From E4 Airman over on YouTube channel. Is Eddie Reichenbacher in the air game for World War I?
Yes. The Western Front Ace comes with 24 ace cards.
Yeah, there's a lot in the game.
Well,
guys.
there's
a lot. Well, you're covering all the nationalities too,
right? So there's 3 or 4 aces from each nationality, and yes, Eddie Rickenbacker and Frank Luke is the other American one, and there might be a third American, but I don't think so off the top of my head. But yes, Rickenbacker's in there for sure.
Well, I think E4 Airman summarizes it best. It was a great show and an honor to have you on tonight, Greg. I think it was important. I think it was important to get everybody up to date, not only because Defending America's out now, but with America Bomber expansion coming up next, and then Imperial Tide's Imperial Tide will be released first, because that's coming right around the corner. Then Paper Wars is further down the road, and then we have
Imperial Tide is primarily a 2-player game, just like Pacific Tide. So
yes.
That's a cabin,
Yeah. Sometimes you get away from solitaire a little bit, but you have that bot, so you still have.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it solitaire, sure.
So, anyway, and then
my pleasure. I had fun. I enjoyed it. I always like babbling.
It was a pleasure getting thanks around the board here from everybody. So thanks, Greg, so much for the update. We covered a lot, yet we ran out of time, and we could have covered and talked about much more. But we're not going to torture people, especially Magnus. Magnus in Sweden. Yes. Magnus in Sweden has no hair. He started at 2 a.m. He probably has no hair now if he watched the whole show live from Sweden. So everybody should get a hand for being here, and especially Magnus should get a round of applause for being on live from Sweden, anybody in the UK. So I want to thank everybody. Greg, I want to thank you again so much for being on tonight. It was wonderful to catch up with you. We're excited about all the titles. We're enjoying Defending America, obviously, right now, and a lot more to come. We'll see you.
I loved it. I love to gab. You know that. So
we'll see. I'll get to see you in November in Connecticut for Compass Expo. Looking forward to that, and hope everybody enjoyed the show. We'll be back next Thursday with Bill and Billy Thomas for our next Compass Games Town Hall episode. So I want to bid everybody adieu, and thank you again, Greg, for being here. Thank you so much.
It was my pleasure.
Take care, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you in a week. Bye-bye, everybody.